give you an update on how our straw bale garden is doing. And believe it or not, there are straw bales underneath all of these tomato vines that are growing. But I think the proof is in the pudding about how well these tomato plants are doing. Now, we planted these tomato plants earlier in the season so that they would be aired on April 15th when it's an appropriate time to plant tomato plants. But that means we had to plant them prior to April 15th. And in doing so, they in fact endured a couple of mild freezes, which kind of knocked them back a little bit. But again, you can see they've recovered quite nicely. Now, the plants that we put in here are two different varieties. We put in a Valentine and a Candyland variety. Both are indeterminate and small tomatoes. Now, I prefer to plant small cherry type, currant type, or grape type tomatoes in straw bale gardens because it elevates them and allows you for easier harvesting. Now again, we're behind on our chores, as you can see, and we should have staked these a while back, but it is time to get them staked now at the very least. And so we're going to use a method called stake and weave, which is often used on tomato plants. And in doing so, we're going to first need to set some T-posts on either end of our straw bales. After setting your 4 T-posts, we've used 4 because again we have 2 rows of tomatoes here, so we wanted to have 2 trellises. We've then used some twine. You can use whatever string that's going to hold up for you. And we've done 2 rows to allow those tomatoes to grow up. Now, ideally we would have done this when the tomatoes were really small, so we wouldn't have to be fighting with such vines, but I'm pretty sure I'm probably not the only one behind on my garden chores with all of the spring rains that we've been having. And in fact, I wanted to mention the spring rains because I think that these tomatoes have done really well from what I've heard from some gardeners with their tomatoes in the garden soil because of the excellent drainage that the straw bales have provided. I know here at the Botanic Garden, we've actually had to replant our okra and our squash a couple of times because of the mild temperatures and the excessive amount of rain. So again, the straw bales have helped with that excessive amount of rain by providing good drainage. At this point, we're going to go ahead and stake these tomato vines up, and there's a couple of different ways you can use that. You can use kind of a twine that's a flexible wire twine, or we've got this green tape that is also really kind of ideal because it allows for a little flexibility and it won't tear up your plants too much when we do get those Oklahoma winds. Or if you're looking for something that you might have around the house, go with some good old-fashioned pantyhose or some stockings, and those work well again to tie up those vines. So we're going to use this green tape to work on our vines here. Now, I admit pruning this way and trellising at this point is a little late in the game, and it's probably not the ideal situation to do it. Again, we would have wanted to do these when these plants are smaller and train them up onto the string. However, because of the weather, again, it's delayed our gardening that we've been able to get out here and do. So at this point, the reason why you want to trellis is because you want to allow for good airflow. So I've taken a fair amount of plant material that we weren't able to trellis off of the plant. You can see in some situations the stuff that was underneath, covered up by the heavy layer of plant above it, it's yellow, it's turning black and that sort of stuff, and all of that can lead to diseases and problems with the whole plant. So we've sacrificed some of the fruit, some of the healthy vines to clean it up. We've got some of them trellised. We probably will go in here and thin it out just a little bit more, but to allow that good airflow, taking the plant up off of the ground, off of where the moisture is hanging out, the humidity is, because again, all of that will lead to diseases. So eventually these plants will be taking off with the summer heat.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.